Listen to these verbs: walked, stopped, cleaned, measured, edited, wanted. What do all of these have in common? They are all past tense verbs, but what makes them all different? Well, they end differently. So, walked, stopped, those end with t sound. Cleaned and measured end with d as the sound. Edited and wanted end with id as their sound. To create these past tense verbs, we took the verb, like walk, and we add ed. Same with the other 5 that we just mentioned. But how do we know when we are reading or speaking if these verbs should end with t, d, or id? First, we need to practice something so that we can then learn the rules for these sounds. Place your hand right here on your neck, on your throat, so that you can feel your vocal cords. And right now, just as I am talking, some of my words and sounds create a vibration, while other things do not. Other words do not. So let's do a couple of examples with some sounds. So we'll try the letter K and T and S and CH. K, T, Sh, S, Ch. So all of those created no vibration, no feeling that I can feel my vocal cords with my hand. Now let's try a few other letter sounds. And those are B and G and J and M and N. B, G, J, M, N. So if you need to pause the video right now to practice those sounds and see how they feel on your vocal cords, do that at this time. So for the letter sounds where we did not feel anything, we call that voiceless. There's no vibration. For the letter sounds where we do feel vibration on our vocal cords, we call that voiced. Okay, so let's think about the letters T, T, and D, D. The letter T, 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 voiceless. The letter D, 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 is voiced. So for a verb, before it is past tense, before we add ed, let's take the word walk. That is just the regular present tense verb. For a verb that will end voiceless, no sound with the last letter, like walk, walk, k, k, voiceless, it will also sound voiceless when we add the ed, meaning it will have the t sound. So we say walked. Another example is stop. So stop, the p at the end, p, 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 voiceless. So when we add ed, that will also sound voiceless, which means the t sound, stopped. Same thing. Now for verbs that are present tense and regular and they don't have ed yet, when the regular present tense verb ends voiced, so for example, clean ends with n, n is voiced, and same with measure, j, that is voiced also. So for those two, the ed added on will sound like duh, like the D, duh. It is voiced. So we would say cleaned, measured. Both have duh sound. The last rule, so how we get the id sound, divided, visited, listed, ended. That is when we have a word, present tense. It ends with t or d on its own. So divide ends with d, end ends with d, visit, t, list, t. For those verbs in regular present tense that end with the d and the t sounds, we add ed to make past tense and we say id, divided. So if you think about this third rule, maybe the easiest, maybe the most confusing, I'm not sure, but if you think back to our previous two rules, voiced or voiceless, voiced will then sound like duh when we add the ed. Voiceless will sound like t when we add ed. And for a verb that already ends with t or d, we say id. Visit, id. Visited. I hope that breaking down these past tense pronunciations was helpful. If you have any questions on verbs, how they end, what their sounds are, please post your question below or ask your teacher. And we look forward to seeing you next time.